Welcome to the Under Review podcast, where Saturdays mean everything, rivalries run deep, and the SEC reigns supreme. Hosted by Todd and Marty, two die-hard fans breaking down every snap, storyline, and showdown across the Southeastern Conference. From the swamp to the plains, between the hedges to the bayou, no team is safe when it's under review. Now back to the action with Todd and Marty.
Well, welcome to episode 72. Not much of Todd and Marty, but we got co-host Cody. He's going to fill in for Marty today. So he's out doing his little horror stuff and whatnot. So he said he wanted a day off, so I granted him a day off, but with no pay this time.
Hey, he gets a day off at least once a week.
Yeah, it just had to be today.
Yeah, I know, right?
But week 4 was a pretty good week for the most part. Some blowouts on the regular games, on the big 5 games that we really want to look into. There were close games, games that should have had some better officiating in them. It's just really wild week in a lot of standpoints.
Always picking on the referees.
I mean, it was a rough game to say the least. I mean, you sack a quarterback 10 times. That's pretty good, you know. I give you that one. But you know, when your offense don't want to work with your defense, it's a great defensive game. It was, but it's just very hard to watch in all aspects. But let's go ahead and get to the around the state games. All right, this week. So around the state, we got Sanford, South Alabama. I'll get it out here in a little bit. Jacksonville State, Alabama State, West Alabama, North Alabama, UAB, Alabama A&M, and Troy. And then we have Alabama State was on a bye this week. They play Troy, I think, next week. I don't know. I should shut up. But West Alabama stays undefeated as they beat Martin 52-14. Alabama A&M, which convincingly they beat Lane 49-3. North Alabama, in a stunner in second overtime, loses to Illinois State 38-6. Sanford still out of the win column as Western Carolina Catamounts beat them 50-35. Troy with the big one, 21-17 over Buffalo. Jacksonville State at homecoming, 45-10 over Murray State. And then Coastal Carolina over South Alabama, 38-20. Any of these games really stand out to you here?
I just want to, and I know I harped on it the last time I was on here. I just really want to give props. You know, first-year head coach Scott Cochran, 3-0, man.
4-0.
4-0. Well, hey.
Yeah, you missed a week.
Yeah, I missed a week. I slept through that one.
Yeah, it's 4-0. I mean,
yeah,
they're ranked 13th in Division II, I want to say.
I mean, I think, coming from, everybody has a past, and, we touched on it but don't really want to harp on it. But, showing he went through, he cleaned up, and he's come back to coaching as a head coach instead of an assistant. I think he's doing a really great job, and I can't wait to see what, West Alabama does the rest of the season. Hopefully he gets, a bowl game or, playoff in the D2 division and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing great ball. I think coming up, they got a couple of ranked matchups later in the season. But I think this West Alabama team, they're set up for greatness. I think, again, Scott Cochran's always been a great coordinator, strength and conditioning coach, whatever. But now he's finally getting to do it as a head coach. Yes, it is a D2 at West Alabama. But if you're winning at any level of a coach, it's still technically a win because who's to say that team last year wasn't 3-9 or, but, they're already 4-0 this year. So already better than what some people already agree with. So here's the records of the teams. Sanford is still 0-4. South Alabama is at 1-3, along with North Alabama. Jacksonville State, UAB are 2-2, along with Troy. Alabama State is 2-1. Alabama A&M is 3-1, and then West Alabama is the only undefeated team left in the state at 4-0. Unfortunately,
Which I think UAB and South Alabama, and even Jack State, I think those are programs that are going through rebuilding processes right now. Probably going to have to do a lot of recruiting because they've lost a lot to the portal going to, D1 schools. So,
well, same way with Troy, they lost their best running back this past year. And
I
quarterback.
didn't even think about it. I forget that they used to be all right in the D2 division.
But
it's good to see these. It's good to see some of these players that go from the D2 to the D1. Kudos to them for being able to get recruited back out of there. But like I said, these are teams you're going to see having to go through rebuilding processes, and especially the last few years, you've got UAB and Jack State both lost head coaches. I think this is what Jack State's second or third season without Gross.
Yeah, and then they lost Rich Rod this past year. So
yeah, give it to them. Give them a couple years. They should be back to where they were. Competing for that national title just about every year.
I just think Jacksonville State's problem. Well, I don't think they'll compete for a national title inside the FBS, but they had some good runs at FCS. Now they bumped up John Gross and Rich Rod. They had great teams. I don't know who the coach is really this year, but 2-2 going into week 5. They just need to, as long as they can get a bowl this year, I think this will still be a win for the Jacksonville State team. In the same way with these other FBS teams, if South Alabama can turn it around, if Troy can keep winning, and UAB, I know UAB's been having a down year or a couple down years here with Trent Dilfer. So if these 4 teams right here can turn their seasons around and kind of get close to a bowl or even make a bowl, I think it'd still be a win for them. I agree. Except for Sanford. I don't know what's going on down there.
Sanford's gone.
Yeah.
They're gone. Bye-bye.
But we're going to step aside real quick and we're going to take a word from our sponsor. We're going to get into some SEC games after this quick message.
Hey, babe, we got ants.
Okay, kill them.
No, really, there's a lot of freaking ants.
Well, what do you want me to do? I ain't no expert.
Well, fine then. I'll call Tactical Home and Pest.
Go ahead and call Benjamin.
Hey there, this is Ben with Tactical Home and Pest, proud sponsor of Todd and Marty and their Under Review podcast. And can I just say that if the bugs I deal with had referees, I'd be called for targeting. Tactical Home and Pest, 256-592-2842, or visit me at tacticalhomeandpest.com.
All right, thank you, Tactical Home and Pest. So let's get into some SEC games. So with the bye, we have Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M, and Kentucky. Alabama next week they play Georgia. Texas A&M coming off the bye, they play Auburn. I don't really know about Kentucky. Care less.
Couldn't Georgia have had a game this week?
Do what?
So why couldn't Georgia have had a game this week? Seems like Alabama plays teams when they're on their bye. Like they play. I don't know if they're going to do it again this year, but they usually play LSU on their bye, like after their bye week.
The week after their
Alabama had their bye this week.
I don't know. I think that I don't think these 2 teams should be playing this early in the season.
Well, I'll say I don't think Alabama should have played Florida State for the very first game, but we'll see how that went.
Technically, you're right there. But I always agree with week 1 should be, get yourself into the rhhythm of how your team plays. And then schedule, if you want a better team, schedule them for week 2 or week 3. But at least get week 1. Week 1's the hardest week to determine your team out of the season. But then we're sitting here in week 4 and we're talking about UAB and Tennessee playing as Tennessee beats them 56-24. Let's see what I got on this game.
So, quick question while we're on this Tennessee pick. I want to make sure this is a hoax. Nico Iamaleava is not coming back, right?
Not to Tennessee, no.
Did he hit the transfer portal? Because I heard a bunch of UCLA players hit the transfer portal.
So far, he hasn't been one of them. He's got 30 days from when the coach was fired. He's only played 3 games, so he's still eligible. So, but I don't think he's coming back to Tennessee. I think Tennessee would not want him. And I don't think he deserves to come back to Tennessee from what he did.
No, I don't either. And that's why I was like, please tell me that that's a hoax.
Yeah. But Joey Aguilar, he went 15 for 22 in this game, 218 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He actually didn't have the most passing yards this game. And that was by Jalen Kitna, 38 for 51, 364, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. But the big players, obviously Peyton Lewis, 11 carries, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. Deshaun Bishop, 9 carries, 59 yards, 2 touchdowns. Star Thomas, I think that was the kid from Duke or Troy. Couldn't remember. But he had 51 yards on 9 carries for a touchdown as well. Then Chris Brazel, the third, 5 receptions, 62 yards, 1 touchdown. Boo Carter had another fumble recovery. Or no, he actually fumbled the ball, excuse me. Did that mean he had? No, okay. Boo Carter had 9 tackles, 6 solos, 1 sack, 3 tackles for losses. This Tennessee team, they don't play anybody again till they play Mississippi State next week. I just don't understand how high is the ceiling for Tennessee here when you're not really playing good teams. Yeah, you played Georgia. You blew the Georgia game. But, yeah, you're still playing inside the SEC, but you're playing a team like Mississippi State, who's not having a bad year this year, though.
They got a decent running back.
That is true. 2 of them, actually. But I don't know with this Tennessee team. I still don't know where to sit them because that they played great against Georgia, but they also blew that big lead and then let Georgia come all the way back inside that game.
I'd say Tennessee's probably going to be about midway of the SEC.
I still don't know if we'll figure that out even after next week. But we're going to head. A game that we figured would be closer. Ole Miss just finishes it off. Tulane, 45-10. Yeah, I thought this game would be closer. I couldn't tell you a reason why. But
Lane Kiffin just did Lane Kiffin things.
Yeah. But I think since Ole Miss is actually going straight towards we're only going to play Trinidad Chambliss instead of Austin Simmons, I think it's actually working out in their favor. He went 17 for 27, missed only 10 passes this game, 307 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also on the ground, 14 carries for 112 yards. And then Kawan Lacey was 18 carries for 68 yards and 2 touchdowns. I didn't really have any. Deuce Alexander, 4 receptions, 94 yards, 1 touchdown. And then Jaden Yates, 11 tackles, 4 solos, and a half of a tackle for loss. Again, I don't think this Ole Miss team is to be jumping up and down about either. Yeah, they beat Arkansas, but they barely beat Arkansas. And they barely beat Kentucky. So if Ole Miss plays a better team inside the SEC, are they going to be able to hold up to the caliber of these teams?
And this sounds crazy. It honestly depends. How does Mississippi or not Mississippi State? How does Ole Miss show up? How do they show up? I mean, we saw it with Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart, they could show up, and I mean, he could sling it, and they put up 60 points quick.
Right. Yeah.
But you get this quarterback comfortable, he might be able to do the same thing. But how do they show up to play? I mean, that's the one thing I will say about Lane Kiffin is his team is not always 100% polished. They're iffy.
Right. And, then last year they lost to Kentucky after, what they expect to have a great year, and then they go out and they throw a L up in Lexington. This year they got their revenge, though. But, I mean, you never know with a Lane Kiffin team exactly what you're going to get. And I agree 100% with that. Northern Illinois 10 is Mississippi State 38. Mississippi State 4-0 for the first time in a good bit. Something in the water down there, and Blake Shapen's drinking all the good juice. He went 12 for 20, 160 yards, only 160 yards, and then one touchdown. But again, the guy that we previously mentioned before, Fluff Bopple, 17 carries, 101 yards. And then Davin Booth, 7 carries for 22 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I was trying to get my search thing to work here because I was pulling that one up, but that's one thing I will say is you're seeing a little bit more of it's not. I'm not gonna say a lot of like Mike Leach style stuff going on, but you're starting to see Mississippi State be similar to what they were when Mike Leach was there before he passed away. It wasn't always guaranteed to be a great ball team, but you could guarantee Mississippi State was going to give you a great game, especially somebody who created the air raid. It could pick apart defenses. You're starting to see that a little bit with the running game now. It's not so much you still got some passing, but their running game is just insane right now between two backs.
Yeah, I think if you know what you're good at, though, it's better to lean on what you're good at than having to force, throws. Yeah, your quarterback only threw 20 times, but you're also playing Northern Illinois, so you don't need that much production out of him. Your running back almost carried more than you threw the ball, with Fluff Bothell having 17 carries and Shapen only throwing 20 attempts. So, I mean, when games like this, and then same thing with Mississippi State, once you get into SEC play, you're going to have a good mix. Like I said, they play Tennessee next week. I don't know how I feel about that game just yet, but I like where Mississippi State's sitting right now. They still didn't crack inside the top 25 this week, which I figured they wouldn't. I think if they can somehow upset Tennessee next week, they'll definitely be inside the rankings.
If Tennessee plays like they played against Georgia, or they've played like the last few games, which, of course they played UAB last week, but if they play like they played against Georgia, you might want to look out. I think Mississippi State could sneak one in on you.
I think if Mississippi State can still keep their caliber of the playing style that they've had this whole year, especially in games like they did against Arizona State earlier in the season, I think if they can bring that kind of mentality to this game, they can keep it close later in the game. Me and Marty will break this down more for Thursday, but glad to have you on here so I can get your insight as well. But I think Mississippi State can keep this game close next week, and it's at home, so they have the advantage there. It's just if Tennessee the real deal and can fend off these lower SEC schools and keep their mid pack where they need it to be. That will be the question going into next week.
Dun, dun, dun.
Marty said, "Hey, Goobers."
Tell him to quit being lazy and do something.
And then another blowout we have here was Vanderbilt 70 over Georgia State 21. Again. Hey, TJ Finley played this game.
How long is he going to be in college?
I think this is his last year. He went 22 for 35, 176 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Look, I know we've talked about this before. I'm not a huge Diego Pavia fan because I feel like he knows he's good and he's cocky about it. But I hate to say it, but Diego Pavia is kind of the real deal in SEC football right now.
Yeah. He's like I said, he's good. He has that Johnny Manziel style play to him, that Johnny Manziel kind of swagger to him. It's just, I think he needs a good little humbling around, you know?
I do too. And that's the problem. Like, I mean, they're not playing that great. They had a bye week, but, I kind of wish that Deontay Lawson or somebody from Alabama would, be able to get one good lick on him and, just humble him down just a little bit, because it used to be the thing. Alabama could humble a quarterback that was like that.
Yeah. Going back a couple years on this one. But that offensive lineman from Vandy, where they ran that mouth when Nick Saban was still the head coach over at Alabama, he's, they was playing Alabama in a couple weeks, and he called them out on national broadcasting and said they was just going to run up and down the field with them. And I think that final score was about 70-3 that game. Vanderbilt just got ranked too, and that's the
first time I think that Nick Saban put more than 60 points on the scoreboard. Because he used to let up off the gas and everything because he didn't want to embarrass the team too much. But, that time I think he was like, no. But, yeah, like I said, I hate to say it, but, like, right now, out of all the quarterbacks in the SEC and how they played so far, Diego Pavia is probably the best one we got.
Yeah, he went 18 for 24, 245 yards and 1 touchdown. He also had 9 carries for 86 yards and 1 touchdown. They played 4 quarterbacks this game. Vanderbilt did. Pavia, Whit Muschamp, Blaze, Berlowitz, and Drew Dickey. They played 5 quarterbacks. 4 quarterbacks. I can't count.
Will Muschamp transferred from Florida?
I guess so. He's number 2.
I thought he used to be at Florida because, well,
he's been there. It's his first season, so apparently he didn't play wherever he was last year. It might have been at Georgia. I don't know. But they also had
it might have been Georgia because I know Muschamp is his dad, and he was with his dad.
Yeah, I think he was a backup or 5th string or whatever Georgia. They had also 9 people run the ball this game. I mean, again, you're playing Georgia State. They're 1-3. What do you really expect? Eli Stowers, 5 receptions, 73 yards. Bunch of people caught the ball. Jordan Matthews, 4 tackles, 4 solos. Nothing really going on the ground. They had 3 sacks. I mean, that's pretty good, I guess. We'll talk about sacks later, though. I ain't going to get too far into that one. But TJ Finney, back playing college football, I guess, is a good thing for some people.
Whoa.
Where's my screen?
Nice to see a 45-year-old man still in college playing football.
Southeast Louisiana travel down to Baton Rouge as LSU takes care of business, 56-10.
Go Tigers.
And a game that really, I mean, again, it's supposed to be cupcake week, I guess. So all these people ate. Garrett Nussmeier, 25 for 31, 273 yards, 3 touchdowns. Michael Van Buren, the Mississippi State transfer, went 10 for 12 this game, 122 yards, and also 1 touchdown. Harlan Barrett had 7 carries and 28 yards. Jawan Johnson, 8 carries, 43 yards, 2 touchdowns. Van Buren on the ground, 4 carries for 16 yards and 1 touchdown. Nussmeier also grabbed one on the ground for 10 yards for a touchdown. Wow. It says as long as it was a 26, but it only had 10 yards for the game. Must have got sacked. Bauer Sharp finally coming back into play. He had 5 receptions, 73 yards for a touchdown. Barry Brown, 54 yards on 5 catches for a touchdown. Glad to see those 2 guys actually coming back into play. This LSU receiving core and, tight ends, they're all what could be All-Americans one day. That's pretty much what you get with LSU. But, Bauer Sharp's been missing for a while. Barry Brown's been missing. Glad to see them guys get back again. Yes, it is against the Southeastern Louisiana Lions. That's a mouthful to say. But they've still got playing time. They've still actually got some yardage and touchdowns. So glad to see it. Maybe, going, getting ready for SEC play. Those 2 guys especially can help power this LSU team to greater heights.
Well, you got some people for Nussmeier to throw the ball to that he's comfortable with. So,
Deshaun Spears, 4 tackles, 4 solos. Nothing big on the defensive side. But, I mean, when you play a team like Southeastern Louisiana, what do you really expect?
Go Mud Dogs.
You want to play in the Bowling Bowl, do you? Let's see. This last one. This next game is this next game got me fired up for a little bit. Texas did win 55-0 over Sam Houston State. Cool, great. You did what you were supposed to.
Win.
You did what you were supposed to. But at the end of the first quarter, this game was 14-0. And yeah, that kind of it just burns my loins, I guess I'd say here. When you have this quote-unquote 5-star quarterback, everybody's saying he's the next generational quarterback. He is the best quarterback inside the league. He goes 18 for 21, played good, 300 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I'm not on the Arch Manning hype.
You want me to tell you what's funny? I see a video yesterday of Arch Manning running in for a touchdown. And, I mean, yeah, he kind of mowed over one dude, but stands up over him and taunts him. And I'm like, dude.
I bet he didn't get a flag either, did he?
No, he didn't get a flag.
Of course he didn't.
And Sam Houston gets up and they're, like, nearly about to start a brawl.
I would.
And you got refs breaking it up. They didn't throw any flags on anybody, but the white hat's talking to Arch, and he, like, looks at him, shakes his head, and turns around and walks off and goes back to taunting. And I'm like, dude, you just got talked to. You're playing Sam Houston. What are you getting all excited for?
A team that's 0-3 at the time, now 0-4.
Woo! You trucked a D2 athlete in the end zone. Maybe D3.
No, they're Division 1. They're FBS.
Really?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
How do we suck again?
They're in Conference USA. They're in Jacksonville State's region or division.
But yeah, like, dude, you truck a dude. Woohoo! You scored a touchdown. Like,
do it against SEC players.
All right, go back to the sideline, and when you can do that in SEC play and actually perform well in SEC play, then we can maybe taunt without getting a flag. But SEC refs are going to call that.
Also, Matthew Caldwell got some playing time. That is the transfer from Troy. He went 4 for 6 for 27 yards. Also had 1 carry for 50 yards. But, Arch went 5 for 11, rushing the ball. Christian Clark, 13 carries, 62 yards, 1 touchdown. Ron Wingo had a big game, 4 receptions, 93 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The one week I didn't play him in my fantasy league, or our fantasy league. And I got beat by just enough points. He gave me 24. I think I got beat by like 22, 23. My first loss.
Yeah, I think I've lost every week. I might be 0-4.
Ty Anthony Smith, 5 tackles for 2 solos. But the big guy's Anthony Hill, 2 tackles, 2 solos, 1 tackle for loss. Yeah, these players are good, but they're having bad stats. They're probably only playing a quarter and a half. So I wouldn't look too much into it until, we start getting into SEC play with, people like Harold Perkins Jr. for LSU and Anthony Hill, TJ Cersei and all these other guys that we've talked about all season that we've projected to have big years, Deontay Lawson. I wouldn't start seeing their numbers go up until, probably about next week on, mostly because of the fact is they're not even playing the whole game. They're probably playing like I said, a quarter and a half, maybe to halftime. So if their numbers are down, I wouldn't get discouraged unless you're a South Carolina fan. I'd start getting discouraged about your team. I think we're getting close to that here, though. But I know it's about to be an ad break. But we're going to step aside real quick as we get ready to talk about our 5 games of the week and our 4 games of the week and our interstate game of the week. So we'll step aside here and we'll be back shortly.
This episode of the Under Review podcast is brought to you by Chuck's Heating and Air. Chuck has over 40 years of service and experience with residential services. He services most makes and models. He is Alabama licensed, bonded, and insured, and locally owned and operated. Are you hot and you're supposed to be cool? Are you cool and you're supposed to be hot? Then you've got a problem. Call Chuck. Area code 256-892-2757. Again, 256-892-2757. Chuck's Heating and Air.
Again, folks, that's 256-892-2757 for Chuck's Heating and Air. Now we're getting down to the big boys. We're getting ready for our 5 Under Review podcast games of the week. And we're going to start off with a big one. Which this was a game that, me and Jud had called on Thursday. We figured Memphis would stay at home. Arkansas would come in. They'd play a good game, but Memphis would end up squeaking this one out. Mike Washington Jr., a big fumble inside the goal line as Arkansas only needed a field goal, and they was running down time. But another big mistake. They had one against Ole Miss. They have one against Memphis. I don't see this Arkansas team winning another game, and that's sad to say. So, if that is true, if Arkansas does not win another game, Cody, right here, how long does Sam Pittman stay as a head coach as the Razorbacks?
Honestly, right now, I think he's on the hot seat as we speak.
So you think, he loses Notre Dame, he's gone. He loses, they don't have an easy schedule coming up. So
I'm kind of on the fence of saying, oh yeah, well, we're going to say they're out. He's out midway through the season.
Do you give him till the Mississippi State game? If they lose that one, then fire him?
I would say let's see how we play against Notre Dame. See if he lets a fire in the players' rear end. But right now, I think he's out before the season's over with.
You just don't know what after which game though.
Yeah, I don't know when, but I know he's on the hot seat, and now.
I think if, they have a rough schedule coming up, 22 Notre Dame, at Tennessee, at home against Texas A&M, at home against Auburn, at home against Mississippi State, at LSU, at Texas, or at home against Missouri. I definitely don't think he's going to reach those last 3 games. He's not going to see LSU, Texas, or Missouri. So it's a matter of fact between Notre Dame and Mississippi State of when they actually give him the X. I mean, Notre Dame, they finally won a game. They're 1-2 though, but Arkansas's 2-2. But they're also ranked. They're still ranked somehow. So don't ask me how they are. Still ranked 22. I don't know. So is it, if they lose to Notre Dame, is that enough to say, hey, this team's still bad? This Notre Dame team's bad enough, but we still couldn't find enough ways to beat them at home. We're just going to go ahead and fire him this week, or, maybe after the Auburn game.
If it's close, I don't think they'll fire him. But I think Mississippi State will walk all over them, and that'll be the time to say, oh, yeah, we got to do something about this.
Taylor Green for this game went 18 for 34, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He wasn't playing as a good quarterback this game. Mike Washington Jr., like I said, he had that fumble inside the red zone, 15 carries for 70 yards and 1 touchdown. Braylon Russell, who should be their go-to back, for only 4 carries, 47 yards, 1 touchdown. Omega Blake, 6 receptions, 60 yards, 0 touchdowns. Rowan Jones, 2 receptions, 102 yards for 1 touchdown.
I think the biggest problem we see for Arkansas, it is a coaching problem, but it's also a captain problem. I don't think you're seeing a whole lot of leadership on the team.
Yeah, I mean, you brought in great receivers. Taylor Green's he's a decent quarterback. Yeah, he likes to use his wheels, but he's a good quarterback. So I don't understand if we're just not offense. It could be an offensive line problem that's having this problem as well.
Yeah, in which I hope I made sense with what I was saying there.
I got you.
Yeah, I was like, did I explain myself right? Not saying that you would judge me for that, but
I would.
The
3 viewers. Sure,
yeah, but just making sure that the team captains, they're named captains every week. Pretty much sometimes they're named captains for the season. Are those people upholding the team? Are they going into meetings with the team? Are they trying to make sure that they're doing their jobs? Like you said, offensive line. Is Taylor Green taking the responsibility of saying, hey, team captain of the offensive line is usually your center. Is he going to the center and saying, hey, you got to get these guys under control. Y'all got to make your blocks. I'm getting killed.
Which Arkansas did lose a lot of offensive line players inside the transfer portal, so they've had to rebuild that position. But with a transfer portal being the transfer portal the way it is, I think for a team like Arkansas, if you need offensive line help, how are you not going out and getting some of these guys that are, that have played for Washington State or Nebraska or teams like this that want to play for an SEC style school that are good for their conference? How are you not getting those guys? If you know you need line help and you're losing line help consistently year after year, how are you still not picking up on the fact that, hey, you need offensive line guys?
That's the big key. You gotta, like I said, you got coaching issues there too.
Yeah.
You gotta know how to hit the portal and find these players.
Let's go ahead and move on to this next one. And that was South Carolina screaming because they had lost another one. Missouri stays tall, 29-20, as South Carolina tried to come in and beat them. This game, I did watch a lot of this game. Lenore Sellers, he played okay. He was healthy for this game. 18 for 28, 302, and 2 touchdowns. The fact of the matter is, South Carolina ended this game with -9 rushing yards.
Ugh.
-9. -28 came from Lenore Sellers, only 7 from Matt Fuller, +7, 7 from Oscar Attaway III, and only 5 from Rasul Faison. So this Missouri defense came to play great.
I mean, and looking at the stats, I mean, they were pretty, except for the run game, I mean, they were pretty even.
Yeah, like Darius Jackson, 7 receptions, 128 yards, and 1 touchdown. Brian Rowan, 3 for 50 for 1 as well.
I mean, I'm looking at this right here, and it says, I can't pronounce his last name. His first name's Bo.
Perbula?
Yeah, Perbula. I mean, missed 11 throws, 16 for 27, 171 yards. And then, Lenore only missed 10 passes. Like, he only incompleted 10, and he was 18 for 28. So,
but
pretty even matchup right there.
The biggest thing was, though, it was the run game. But yeah, Lenore's throwing 302 yards. Bo only threw 171. But then you flip it over. Ahmad Hardy ran for 138 yards. Bo Perbula even ran for 72. And then Jamal Roberts, who had a great game, he was running back 2 here for the Tigers. He had 13 carries for 76 yards and a touchdown. They fed the rock to the guys that they knew that, hey, Bo wasn't having a good game. He only missed 11 passes, yes. But he wasn't getting the yardage. But you don't really need that when you have your lead running back running for 138 yards a game.
Yeah. Let's see. I was trying to see if it had it up here. Yeah. If I'm looking at this correctly, it looks like South Carolina only had 293 yards total offense, and Missouri had 458.
It was a good game. I mean, South Carolina had a chance to win it or get back into the game late. Just their defense was not as good as it has been. But Josiah Trotter for the Tigers went 11 for 11 tackles, 5 solos, and 1 tackle for loss. This team also had 5 sacks. Missouri did. I mean, Missouri played good. I hate giving Missouri their roses, but, when a team like this, they played good against what was supposed to be a good South Carolina team, you got to give them their roses.
So,
I ain't giving no roses on this next game, though, because I can tell you what. Because Florida sucks. Florida tried to go into Hard Rock Stadium and did not go their way, 26-7. But this game was closer for the majority of the game. It was 13-7 for the majority of the game. It was 13-7 at the end of the third quarter, and then Miami put 13 on them again in the fourth quarter to make it look a little worse. But here's the point of this: DJ Lagway, once again, terrible. 12 for 23, 61 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions.
who is our backup there?
Let's see a backup. Let's see a roster. Backup. Maybe Aiden Warner, which I think that's Kurt Warner's kid.
Why don't we give the backup a try?
Right. At this point.
Because
it worked for Kentucky.
61 yards. 61.
Yep. Through a whole game. It was a 16-minute game.
That's a yard a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just being honest. That's a yard a minute.
I mean, Carson Beck only threw for 160 this game.
And to me, this doesn't fall on Florida anymore. Like, as far as players.
No, it's straight up Billy Napier.
This is Billy Napier. If your quarterback is not performing, you gotta pull him in. Now, Did you watch most of this game?
I did.
Okay. So, are we dropping passes?
No, he just wasn't getting them to. Like, he was not having the time in the backfield to get them to him.
Okay, so another offensive line issue.
Yeah. Like, and you can even tell, like, inside the in the stats, like, he didn't have that many incompletions. I mean, he had 12, but I mean, and then the passes that he did make, his longest was for 12 yards. So it was a lot of dinking and dunking, but a very well, give the credit to Miami, a very well disciplined defense for that.
Oh, yeah. But, like I said, this is... I hate to say it, Billy got to go.
Yeah, again, and it's to the point of how far can he make it? You know?
I don't think he should have made it past this game.
Yeah, because, I mean, you got Texas and Texas A&M, and then you got Mississippi State. Again, you lose to Mississippi State, you're probably going to be gone. But, you know, it don't
the
get
reason
no better.
I say... I didn't mean to talk over you on that one.
No, you good.
But the reason I say that he needs to be gone now is because this is a repeat. This is like deja vu of last year.
I agree.
So you're already in week 4. You've had this. You're 1-3. You're starting out the season the way you started out last year. Bye.
Because they was even saying coming in the season, oh, we're going to be better. We're going to be okay. We got DJ Lagway a full season. It's not showing, though. Yeah, DJ Lagway's only lost 3 games in his career. 2 of them are now he's 4 against. 3 of them being this year. So he lost, 1 game last year? Yeah, my math's correct, I think. 1 game last year. He's our savior. DJ Lagway, be our king. It's not Lagway's not the problem. Again, me and Marty talked about this Thursday. He does not have the coaching here at Florida for his ability. The kid's great. Kid's a sophomore. Kid's got 2 more years. He can be a Heisman caliber quarterback. But Florida needs to make the changes now more than for later. Even if this kid walks at the end of the season, I don't think he'll walk if Billy Napier leaves. But again, I could be wrong.
I think if you put somebody good around him that's actually gonna not, try to go straight to the portal and look for players,
Right.
That and actually give them a chance to fight for position, I think he'll stay.
I mean, we'll have to see when it gets there. I hope he does. I like the kid. He just needs better coaching. You know what I mean?
Sooner than later.
Yeah. Texas Tech in the interstate game of the week, stuffing Utah inside of a locker, 34-10. Didn't get to watch this game. This game was an early game. It was a Big 12 matchup. Devin Dampier, 25 for 38. I figured this game was going to be closer. I did like the Utes in this game. 25 for 38, 162, 2 interceptions. Kid didn't even throw a touchdown. Yes, that's the biggest will here. I don't know if Brendan Morton got hurt, but Will Hammond did come in for 13 for 16, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns. Well, probably because Morton threw 2 interceptions, probably why he came out. But Texas Tech looking good. Staying hot, 4-0. I think they're jumped up to 12 in the rankings after being 17th after this win. So, good to see on Texas Tech side, playing the Big 12, so not really that much of them.
I'm not gonna say, oh, I'm a huge I'm big Texas. I like Texas Tech. I've always liked Texas Tech just because I think I like their colors, their color scheme. But no, I think it's somebody you had that used to be good. Kind of like the Florida State situation. They used to be good. They fell off for several seasons, and now you see them back up there competing. So,
right.
I think it's good to see some of these teams rebuild and bringing back the legacy that they're known for.
Right. Well, I think it's time to get into our unreview game of the week, and it was a game. And that under review game of the week is brought us Auburn going into Norman. And the final score 17-24 Oklahoma. And what was it was a game.
Well, everybody likes to blame it on the zebras.
Again, if you watch the game, you'll understand Auburn had a scoop and score taken away from them after the dude made a football move. They said, oh, incomplete pass. That was 7 on the board right there. That's already wiped off. Unsportsmanlike conduct that should have been called against Oklahoma would have brought back their touchdown. I can sit here and do this all day, but Oklahoma played better. Their defense played better. 10 sacks, school record. Congratulations. Safety at the end, just to put a little dirt in the wound, shoving Jackson Arnold's head into the ground a little bit more. But only losing to 7, I feel like is a bright spot for the Tigers. They just got to figure it out. I won't say they're one play away from winning this game.
I think this is just me. You go back and you see a letter that comes in from the SEC, and the SEC has made it aware that there was a lot of missed calls that would be addressed, and they weren't going to comment on it. I think that maybe the SEC realized this game was possibly taken away from Auburn.
Right.
So, yes, I understand they gave up 10 sacks, but could we say, hey, in reality, there's no way that they can change the game, but there's notes out there that say it was pretty much given away by some of these calls that were missed and some of these calls that shouldn't have been called.
Right.
Do we give Auburn props and say, maybe you didn't win on the scoreboard, but, from the way you've played the last few years, that's a win in my book.
Yeah, I'm tired of moral wins, though, I really am. It's been an Auburn fan a really long time, and we've got a lot of moral victories. But, they played good. Jackson Arnold went 21 for 32, 220 yards, 1 touchdown. Sticking on the ground, Jeremiah Cobb, 6 carries, 61 yards. Damari Austin, 7 carries, 25 yards. Auburn as a team ran for 62 yards when those 2 guys also in the negative. But they held Oklahoma to 35 rushing yards this game. So, there's one thing I know about Auburn this year, is they got a pretty good run defense. And the pass defense is pretty terrible. So, don't comment on that. Cam Coleman, 3 receptions, 88 yards, 1 touchdown. Probably won this week because of him. You're welcome. Eric Singleton, 9 catches for 60 yards. On the defensive side, Xavier Atkins, who's been playing great for the Tigers, 7 tackles for 4 solos. Rayshon Pleasant, 6 tackles and 3 solos. Let's flip over and talk about this Oklahoma team. So, do you think John Mateer is a Heisman quarterback right now after this game?
No.
24 for 36, 271, only 1 touchdown.
No.
I think the only reason, the only reason that they win is because they had 10 sacks in this game. So, and it's not because Mateer played out of his mind. He played mediocre at best this game. He had 10 carries as well for 29 yards and 1 touchdown. That 1 touchdown was pretty good when he laid out for it right there at the end. I give him that. But, besides that, Isaiah Sintega, 9 catches, 127 yards, couldn't stop the man, 1 touchdown. And again, that 1 touchdown was because of what should have been a flag.
And I'll say that you're a Heisman Trophy winner right now, like Heisman Trophy caliber player right now, not in the SEC.
Nice. Cade Klubnik, right?
I will say, look at Ohio State.
Which we said earlier in the season that Julian Sayin could have that type of year.
Yep.
Must be nice if it was in the other red and white. Kip Lewis, who was the game saver of the this matchup a year ago. 10 tackles, 3 solos, a half a sack, 1 tackle for loss. Like I said, since 9, but conference or score record 10 total sacks for Oklahoma in this game. I don't know else how to take this, but lick our wounds and come back next week. We got Texas A&M, so and inside Texas A&M, another big matchup. Oklahoma goes on a bye. I mean,
I think going into Texas A&M, you got to look at the positives here. You go from Peyton Thorne to Jackson Arnold.
thank you.
I'm just saying, like it seems like, oh, we're starting off like we did last year. Auburn's 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
You
beat a Baylor team that could play for the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're playing good. You lose by a touchdown here, yeah. I think you got a shot. It's at you're at Texas A&M. You're in the 12th man. It's gonna be rowdy. It's tough to play there.
Mm-hmm.
Can you pull it off? Absolutely.
And can you lose by 31? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It just depends.
All I'm going to say is I think you tweak your passing defense just a little bit and get them a little bit better with your coverages, and there you go.
I agree. And, going into next week, we also have 2 boards, football square boards going on for Auburn, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia. So if you need some squares, just hit me up. They're $5 a square, $100 payout per quarter. But that going said, next week is a big week for a lot of SEC teams. Like I said, there's a lot of ranked matchups. If I can get to it, Jesus Christ. Okay, here we go. There we go. Notre Dame goes to Arkansas. Utah goes to Vandy. Who cares? LSU goes to Ole Miss. Auburn goes to A&M. Tennessee goes to Mississippi State. Alabama goes to Georgia. Kentucky at South Carolina. And then UMass is also traveling to Missouri. So a good week coming up. So any games that you would look forward to besides, Alabama, Georgia, and Auburn and A&M?
I think Mississippi State, that game will be good. Let's just focus on, is Florida on bye next week, or are they going into
they're on a bye.
Oh, well. And then Arkansas's got a pretty big one, too.
Yeah.
Focus on, if Florida loses this week, Billy Napier's really gone.
It could happen. I mean, like I said, I want to thank you for jumping on, and so I wasn't sitting here talking to myself, because that's one of the hardest things to do as a podcast. You're sitting here and talk to yourself all day. Well, I mean, it is, but I really do appreciate it. I mean, you said you had a busy day yesterday, and just taking the time out of today just to jump on and talk a little bit and help me get through this is more than I could ever ask for.
Anytime.
And I appreciate it. If we have sponsor plans, follow us on TikTok, Facebook, Spotify, Instagram, wherever you can find us, we're there. But again, like I said, thank you, Cody. Marty, you're off this week. Congratulations. Thank you there. Thank you to the Wise who made it to Sunday. We're recording again a couple days soon. We'll see if we make it to Thursday. I want to thank HCS Media, Hayden Coker. Love you, buddy. Appreciate everything that you do. My mic is messing up here. Sorry about that. Jud Dickinson, Brandon Trammell, the other part of the Creations team, and Hunter Brasfield and Nicholas Adams. I want to thank all you guys, and we'll see y'all next week when we go under review.